Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new around here, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you would subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification as well, and that will give you notifications of when I post. I usually post homeschool videos on Monday and book flip throughs on Friday. So just a bit of an introduction. My name is Marika. I live on the west coast of Australia with my hubby Greg, and we have 4 children. We have Will, who's nearly 13. I have Em, who's nearly 8. Cruz, who's nearly 6. Their birthdays are really soon. And then we have sweet little Jackson, who is 4 years old. And we are into our 3rd year homeschooling here in the Lake House Homeschool, and all of my children are now being homeschooled. This year, we started using a brand new curriculum here in the Lake House Homeschool. We started using a Gather Round unit studies from Gather Round Homeschool. And so far, we have done the Christmas mini unit, the Easter mini unit, and the Asia unit study. And if you would like to have a look at my reviews and flip throughs of that curriculum, I will pop a link in the description box down below to the playlist of all my Gather Round reviews to have a look. But we are actually starting a new unit study this term, and we're going to be starting the space unit study. Now, I love Gather Round Homeschool. The last unit study we did was Asia unit study, and both me and my children really enjoyed that. So we are super excited to jump into our next unit study, which is space. My children chose this one. There's a whole lot of different unit studies to choose from, but they were keen to do space. We already looked at space, I think, in the first year that we were doing homeschooling, but they love it so much that they want to hop in and do it again. So in this video, I'm going to give you a flip through of this space unit study. Alright, so first up I'm going to show you inside the teacher's guide of the unit study from Gather Round Homeschool. Just a quick explanation of how Gather Round Homeschool works. I have purchased the PDF download of the space unit study, and I have just printed it out myself on my home printer, and you can purchase this curriculum 2 ways. You can purchase a hard copy and they'll send it to you already printed and bound, or you can purchase it as a PDF download. Now, with the printing hard copies and having them bound, with the PDF download, obviously you can buy that and print that yourself and bind that yourself, but the hard copies that they send are only available to be shipped in Canada and the US. So because I'm in Australia, I have to purchase the PDF download, which I don't mind doing. So that's what I have done, and I've popped my curriculum just into a 2-ring binder that I've purchased from Kmart Australia. And what it comes with is a teacher's guide, which I read aloud from, and then it has notebooks for each of your children at different levels, and so I will get into that. But first I will show you inside the teacher's guide and a look at the lessons. As I said, I just printed this off myself on my home printer in colour. It's very inexpensive to do that. And I've just bound it in this file. Now this is pretty much my teacher's file, and I have all of the teacher's guides that I have been using in this file. So I have kiddos who are working through other Gather Round units as well. So for example, in the jungle, this is for my 5-year-old son. So I have this in my teacher's guide as well. So just thought I'd share how I kind of worked that all out. So that's that one, and this is then into the space teacher's guide. So it starts off with this adult colouring in if you wanted to do that. And then in the beginning, it just gives you a note to the teacher and kind of just a little overview of what Gather Round Homeschool is all about. Now you can pause this and read this if you wanted to, but I will leave a link in the description box down below to the curriculum, and you can go over and read their website and their philosophy and how it works and all that kind of stuff. So as I said, it comes with a teacher's guide, and then it comes with notebooks for the different ages. And you, in the digital download, you get all of these notebooks, and then you get to choose which one you want to print out for your kids, what areas you've got. But they have a pre-reader notebook, which is for 3 to 5 year olds. I have an early reader notebook for 6 to 8 year olds, early elementary, which is 8 to 10 year olds, upper elementary, which is 10 to 12 year olds, middle school, which is 12 to 15, and high school, which is 16 to 18. So this curriculum is designed for you to do as a family with all of the ages, and that's why we like it. So I have a pre-reader, I have a early elementary, and I have a middle schooler who are all doing this curriculum with me. Okay, and then it just has some sample. This is what the pages look like in the notebooks. And then it gets into the table of contents. Again, anytime that you want to look at anything up close, I just encourage you to pause and then you can read the information yourself. I'm not going to read everything. This is just a quick kind of flip through to show you what it actually looks like. So here is all the lessons. There's 20 lessons, and so that's effectively 20 school days. So you do one lesson a day. So this unit can take you as quick or long as you want. So generally, the last time we did the Asia unit, that kind of took us a whole term. So I imagine this will be the same here because we only do this curriculum, I think, 3 days a week. But here are all the lessons that you're going to look at. So first off, Introduction to Astronomy. Next one's Galaxy and Solar Systems. Then you're looking at the Sun, Mercury, through all the planets. It's got dwarf planets, history of space exploration, life as an astronaut, rocket, star, constellation, gravity, and light. All right, they also include book lists as well. So these are extra books. You don't need these to complete the curriculum, but these are book suggestions and broken down into the different age groups. So you could choose to pick from these books. You could choose some books to read aloud as a family. You can choose books for your individual children to read along with doing the units. That's what I usually do. I pick a book out of the list, and that kind of becomes the book focus for that term, and that my child will read that book and then they'll do a book reporter on it and things like that. So they are great book lists, and you can check your local libraries for these books as well. So it's not costing you any extra money, or you can find them online. So there's book lists for each of the different levels. Then it breaks it down into a supply list. This is really great for planning. So it has each of the lessons, and then it just has these supplies and little tick box that you are going to need for each lesson. Now, it's a pretty grab and go curriculum. So the supplies will pretty much be things that you have laying around the house. You might not have to go and necessarily get anything extra, but it's great to have these planning pages so you can look ahead and make sure you've got everything. If not, you can collect it. There are planner pages, so broken down into the lessons if you want to write notes or things that you need to gather and things like that. I actually don't use these pages. I am not a forward planner at all. I am a grab and go person. I don't even look at the lesson for the next day before I do it. I just grab it out on the day, open it out and see what we're doing. And as I said, it's grab and go, and I usually have everything I need. But for those of you who like to plan, there are some beautiful planner pages included in the teacher's guide. And again, just more planning pages, adventures that you might want to take, excursions that you might want to do during this unit, a shopping list. Okay, and then it jumps straight into the lesson. So let me show you how a lesson is set out. You can see it has the lesson number written up the top here, but it's also included down on the bottom here so you know what lesson that you're in. So basically how it works is I will open up my curriculum on lesson 1, and this is all of the reading aloud that I will be doing for my children for lesson 1. So it's that page, this one, and this one. It also comes with great pictures. And so I've printed out this, and I would just sit around the table or in the living room with my children and show them the pictures. But if another way that you can do it is that if you have this on your computer and you have the ability to cast things from your computer or your iPad or iPhone to the TV, I could then cast this to the TV and my children could all look at the TV and see the pictures on there. That's just another helpful hint. But basically you're reading aloud and showing them the pictures, and there is these little activity breaks that you can stop and do. This just allows you to look at something a bit deeper, find out a bit more information, kind of like, diving deep into certain bits. So you can do that or you cannot do that. It's totally up to you. But it's great that they kind of include those extra little rabbit trails that you can take. Here we go again, still reading aloud. Again, a discussion question here. What if you were an astronaut? And then at the end of the read aloud section, it goes into what your students are going to be doing in their notebooks. So at the end here, it says it's time to work in your student notebooks. There is an extension activity here if you wanted to dive deeper into this topic, and then it will break down at a glance what the students are doing in their notebooks. And so for science, this is what they are going to be covering. For economics, for copy work and spelling, for mapping, and they're looking at Vincent van Gogh. So it gives you just a brief kind of thing of what they're going to be doing in the notebook, so you as a teacher can have a little idea of what they're going to be doing. So the idea would be that you would read aloud from lesson 1 in the teacher's guide, and then we get to this section, and then the children get out their own individual notebooks and work on their pages for that lesson, and then they can either work independently if they're older, or if they are younger, like my children, I will sit with them and help them to complete the notebooking pages. Then it moves on to lesson 2, and it's set out exactly the same. It has your read aloud sections. It has activity break and areas to deep dive in areas that you want to, and also the really great pictures. These are real photographs, and then into what the students will be doing in their notebooks. And then this is lesson 3, and so on. So I will give you a quick flip through of some of the pages so you can get a look. At the end of the lesson, you will notice that they've got a sources section here. This is where they have got their information from. You can also use these links yourself to go and find out more information if you want to, and this just kind of the read alouds kind of provide you with all the information that you'll need, and there will be some research for some of the children in completing their notebooking pages. But the great thing about this curriculum is this read aloud section is enough information for them, but if you want more, you can then go ahead and take rabbit trails and find out more information about things that have really sparked the children's interest or your interest, and you can always dive deep. But this is providing you with a really, really great platform, and then if you want more, then you can go and find more, read books and all of that kind of stuff. But the teacher's guide, the information that they have really is enough. Okay, so that was a look inside the teacher's guide for the space unit study. And now I will show you at the notebooking pages. Now, for the sake of this video, I have put all of my children's notebooks into this binder. But what I usually do is each child has one of their own 2-ring binders, which are just really inexpensive, just purchased them from Kmart. And these are working fine for us. And they have their own notebook in their own file along with some of the other work that they're working on. But for the sake of this video, I've included all of the notebooks in this one binder for you to have a look at. Now, I'm just showing you the notebooks that we're using here in the Lake House Homeschool. So I have a pre-reader, Crew, who's in grade 1, and he's still doing some letters and numbers and ready to read work. So he's still working on the pre-reader pages. And so he sits with us and listens to all the read alouds, and then he does his work in this notebook, which is usually only 2 or 3 pages. It doesn't take very long to do. And then he does alphabet and math work. Again, also to note with this curriculum that it covers everything except math. So everything in the notebooks is going to cover all the learning areas: your language and literacy, geography, science, history, Bible, art, and then math you add in, which is great. This is another reason why I really like this curriculum. Okay, so this is for my pre-reader, who is Cruz, who's nearly 6. So it starts off, this is like a scope and sequence. So this is a really great page to add kind of into your documentation for showing your moderator. And it has all of the kind of learning areas that they're going to cover just in this unit study. So this is all the science that they're going to be doing. Obviously, this is a space unit, so it's science heavy. We've just done a geography heavy unit. So over the year, everything will get covered. We've got science. This is the geography, the Bible they're going to cover, the art, and the fine motor skills. Here is the table of contents, and then it jumps straight into the activities. Now with the pre-reader, they'll have a colouring in page with each lesson, and that's designed for the children. They can colour this in while I am reading aloud from the teacher's guide. So for those little ones, kind of gives them something to do with their hands, which is really great. So they'll have a colouring in page. And then he has one other activity. So you can see we've got number 1 up here. It is written down here, lesson 1, and it goes straight in then to, this is lesson 2, and it has lesson 2 written down here. So you know what pages you need to be doing with what lesson that you're up to. All right, let me show you what the activity actually is so you can kind of get an understanding of what they're doing. The instructions on this one says, today we learned that astronauts have special training for specific jobs. They will often focus on one particular area. For example, astronomers who study the stars are called stellar astronomers. When you just focus on one thing, you get better at it. People who specialise, that is what we call having a special focus, include people with all kinds of jobs. Chefs, teachers, firefighters, the list goes on and on. What do you want to specialise in when you grow up? Draw a picture in the box below. And so the kiddo would draw the picture, and then you could do some narration work with them. So they could tell you about what it is they want to be when they grow up and why, and you could write that in that box as well. So really great activity. So for lesson 1, have a colouring in page and then that activity to complete. And then my kiddo, he would go and do other work after that. Then it jumps into lesson 2, another great colouring in. And let me show you this activity. It says, today we learned what our solar system is made up of. In the centre is the sun. It is the giant star that all of the 8 planets orbit or move around. The planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Cut out the sun and the planets from the appendix and paste them into the solar system where they belong. And then they have numbers. So there's an appendix at the end, and we'll have the planets, and he'll be able to cut them out and glue them on. So just know that Cruz loves that kind of stuff. So that's for lesson 2. Really great, simple activities that they can complete quickly and then go and do their alphabet or reading work as well. So let me give you just a quick flip through of the rest of the lessons in the pre-reader. So this is the appendix section, and it has all of the cutouts that you need to complete the lessons here, and it says like cutouts for page 19, so it's really clear about what you're going to need. And then it also includes some flashcards as well, and these illustrations are gorgeous. So these, as you can see, they have got dotted boxes around them, so you can cut these out and laminate them. It is printed double-sided, so you have this side that has the names on it, and then once they've kind of learned those, then you can try showing them the planet without the name and see if they guess it. So there's kind of extra activities that you can do as well. Then here are some of the constellations and the famous people that we were looking at as well. And so they're great. You could do games with them. You can print 2 copies and do match games. There's all sorts of kind of things that you can do with flashcards as well. And that's the end of that one. And the other notebook I have is for early elementary. And my daughter, who is nearly 8, this is her book that she will be using. Again, set out the same way. It has the scope and sequence at the beginning with all of the areas that she's going to be looking at. Now, the pre-reader only had a small amount of areas. Now that they're moving up in the notebooks, you can see there is much more that she is going to be covering. They've even thrown telling the time in here for math, but math you add in extra, but it has everything else here. This is all of the language arts that they'll be using. They're going to be looking at poetry and imagery. This is the writing activities, the grammar activities, the spelling. This is science into history, geography, more history there. That's of famous people, bit of math, all of the art and all of the Bible that we're going to be looking at. They include a reading log. This is great. So any book that she reads while we're doing this unit study, she can fill out this form, and then this will go into her portfolio as well to have a look at, you know, just to keep a reading log. So they are really great. These is kind of nondescript, so you could use these pages for all of the unit studies that you do, but that's really, really helpful. Then it jumps straight into lesson 1. So we'd have the read aloud, then she'd do her notebooking pages. So she would do this page, this page, this page, and this page, and this page. That was all lesson 1. So how many was that? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages for her to complete. So we would do read aloud, she'd complete her 5 pages, she would complete math and do some reading, and then that's her homeschool for the day, which is so awesome. All right, so let's have a closer look at what she's going to do here. I'll just run through lesson 1 so you get an idea. Otherwise this video is going to be too long. Okay, so we're looking at astronomy, and obviously this is writing. This is based on her listening to the information that was read aloud, and then she would fill this form out and I would help her to do that as well. Then we have she would read this section. We would talk about it and answer some comprehension questions. Here we've got some handwriting copy work, which includes your spelling as well. And there's a spelling activity there. And we've got some geography here. You can see she's got some mapping work to do. And then this is art, looking at Vincent van Gogh. And then we're into lesson 2. Let me give you a quick words are hard. Let me give you a quick flip through of some of the other activities that are included in the early elementary. Again, if you wanted to have a closer look at the lessons, feel free to pause and read for yourself. So I love how these books are set out. They are beautifully illustrated. They're really pretty to look at, which is really helpful. It's great when you have got lovely things to work with. It encourages the children to take care with their work as well. I love all of the illustrations that have been included. And so, yeah, it really is a beautiful curriculum to look at, as well as great information. All right, so obviously that goes on and on and on. She has an appendix section at the end, which also has those flashcards as well as the pre-reader had. She's also got, you can see here, some writing paper. I love that they've included this. My daughter's in grade 3, and so she's still working on getting her handwriting right. And so I love that they have these extra pages with the dotted thirds. That's really, really helpful. And I'll also use these pages for my pre-reader as well with his writing. Include some extra stargazing sheets, which are super fun. And then those flashcards as well. She has them in hers too. All right, the next one I have is for my middle schooler. Again, this notebook is set out exactly the same as the other one, except the activities are going to be a little bit more in depth. Here is a look at the scope and sequence, if you wanted to pause that and have a look at what they will be learning. Excuse me. And then reading log, which has lines this time. Emily had blank squares for drawings. Will has lines, so he can write a description about the books that he is reading, which is really helpful. And then we pop into lesson 1. So for lesson 1, he's going to be doing this page, this one, and this one. Now the same kind of activities, but more in depth. So this is again like the note-taking page, listening to me read aloud, and then he is going to write out notes and things that he learnt from reading there. And then we jump into like a comprehension. He's reading this and answering questions. What's this one? This is Bible, so he'll be looking that up and writing it out here. We've got geography, mapping exercise there for him to complete, and then the art section. He'll be creating his own artwork. You don't have to use this space as well for creating the artwork. You can then get another piece of art paper and just slip it in here and do the painting on there. The thing I love about this is it's grab and go. William can get this, sit down and start working through this independently. He will do online research to help him with some of the information, and I'm really happy for him to do online research. He has a computer that he has access to, and we have all of the parent codes set up and things like that, so he's never going to click on anything that I don't want him to click on. So I'm quite happy for him to use the internet to do research to help him find answers if he needs to, or we have plenty of books on our bookshelf about space that he could also use as well. So it's more research for the older children to help them complete their activities, and he loves using the computer, and I'm really happy that he's moving to be more independent. For some things, as I said, I'm quite happy to help him, and then he shows me at the end of the lesson all the things that he does, so I do check it over, but I'll be working one-on-one with my younger children, and my new to high schooler, he's in first year high school, he can complete this on his own. All right, so that is just a little look at the activities that they're doing for high school. Again, anytime you see a page you want to have a closer look, just press pause and you can read it for yourself. All right, so that was a look at all of the notebooking pages that we are using, which was middle school, upper elementary and pre-reader. There are obviously more notebooks in the collection that you get, and you can have a look at them in your digital download and then just print out the copies that you need. And it's really great because then you can place your child's wherever you think is necessary. You might want to shuffle them back a little bit if they're struggling, or if they're quite ahead, you can move them up a bit and print out whatever notebook pages that you want for your children. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you found that helpful, having a look inside at what the unit studies actually look like from Gather Round Homeschool. If you check out my description box down below, I have links there to a playlist where I have more Gather Round reviews and flip throughs for you to have a look at, and also all of my other homeschool videos as well, and my book reviews as well. So make sure you check out those links in the description box down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.